Disney and NBCUniversal have filed a joint lawsuit against AI image generation company Midjourney. They are accusing Midjourney of mass copyright infringement. It is the first time Hollywood's biggest studios have taken really direct legal action against a generative AI company like this. And the studios claim that Midjourney used some of their characters like Elsa, Darth Vader, the minions to train its model and create lookalike images without permission. The lawsuit includes pretty striking examples of content that was generated that looks nearly identical to iconic movie scenes. Disney and NBC Universal say they reached out to Midjourney to resolve the issue privately, but the company allegedly ignored them and continued to release even more what they call infringing versions of its tool. The complaint calls Midjourney a, quote, bottomless pit of plagiarism and says its actions threaten the very foundations of U.S. copyright law. Now, it's really important, we'll talk about this, that the famously lawsuit loving Disney is involved is a very significant factor here, because as one expert put it to a journalist at The New Scientist, quote, it's Disney, so Midjourney are effed, pardon my French. And he did not say effed. It was a great quote. So, Paul, maybe you can start by unpacking this for us. I guess first I'm curious, like, why has Disney waited so long to do this? We've known these tools are producing images that are a problem for quite some time. And why Midjourney specifically getting kind of in the crosshairs here?
Why Disney waited? I have no idea. I mean, I think all these, Hollywood studios, they all are using and plan to deeply integrate AI into what they do. So, I mean, like, they're all benefiting from generative AI, and they probably understand it's trained on their stuff. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's not hard to figure that out. Um, I don't know, like, maybe it's just been everybody's trying to do backroom licensing deals and figure out ways to get these labs to at least put filters in so that the stuff they trained on can't just be requested and shown. I mean, that's what we saw originally with, like, the, image generation stuff from ChatGPT. You would say, "Show me something of The Simpsons," and it would start to output it, and you'd watch the Simpsons characters showing up, and then it'd be like, "Oh, sorry, can't do that due to
Right.
licensing reasons." And then when they came out with the new one, they're like, "Oh, screw it." And then XAI is like, "Screw it." And, like, everybody's just kinda like, "Oh, let's just go." And it was almost like we talked about the podcast at the time, we just kinda reached the, like, they don't give a shit phase of IP infringement, like, so I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and, like, what decisions these AI companies are making. They all know they trained on the data. We all know they trained on the data. We all know the models are capable of outputting that data and the images and the videos and the audio to look and sound exactly like the training data. It's not like this is a big secret. So, and it's not like this is the first lawsuit. Like,
Right.
just episode 152, we talked about Reddit and Anthropic. And I think at the time I said, well, if they did, it's in the data. This isn't hard to figure out if Anthropic took the data or not. So in this case, and it's a 110-page filing, the lawsuit, and it's very obvious. Like, if you go look at the links we'll put in the show notes, I mean, it is literally just outputting the exact characters from Disney
Yeah,
movies
it's
when you
crazy.
prompt it to do it. There's no disputing this. Like, so my initial reaction, I put this on X. I said, start with Midjourney for legal precedent, then take on Google, OpenAI, Meta, XAI, and others who have likely done the same thing. Uh, Ed Newton Rex, who we have mentioned numerous times on the podcast, the CEO of Fairly Trained, and he notoriously left Stability AI over his disagreements with how they were doing using copyrighted materials. He was the VP of audio at Stability AI prior to leaving, and he's very, very vocal on X, defending the creators basically. So he replied to me, absolutely. I said, that's what I was assuming. Seems like the obvious reason. Easier path to precedent, then settle with the others and do licensing deals, and hopefully in the process establish mechanisms to compensate the creators and artists. So that was what I was setting. And then I actually put this on LinkedIn as well, some expanded version of this. And I said on my LinkedIn post, like, hey, I would love to hear comments from actual legal experts in my network. I am not a legal expert,
Mm.
but this seems pretty obvious what's going on. So our friend Sharon Torek, who is an IP attorney and founder and owner of legal and creative Torek law firm, she replied. So here's an actual legal expert commenting on this situation. She said, Midjourney looks to have taken its cue from big AI on this. Why else would you ignore a cease and desist demand from a huge copyright holder? And as you pointed out, Mike, Disney does not mess around. Um, she continued, they are potentially waiting out the New York Times and other similar copyright holder cases pending against OpenAI to see if there's a roadmap for avoiding infringement liability altogether. And if not, to get big AI's blueprint for working out licensing deals with creators, parentheses, for pennies on dollars of worth, depending on the copyright owner. She continued, and I agree that Midjourney and companies similarly sized are best first targets for setting precedents. They are less well-funded defendant than OpenAI for sure. So far, the U.S. Copyright Office is holding tight somewhat on creators' rights. We'll see if the court cases proceed similarly. So I then said could lead to a bunch of settlements, licensing deals, and hopefully some mechanisms for the compensating creators. And then, Mike, I'll just call out a couple of quotes because, I mean, this was the New York Times article. This was everywhere by middle of the week. Everybody's got articles on this, but some of these are very telling. So, a 110-page lawsuit contends Midjourney helped itself, quote, helped itself to countless copyrighted works to train its software, which allows people to create images and soon videos that blatantly incorporate and copy Disney and Universal's famous characters. The one quote you mentioned, but it also said Midjourney is the quintessential copyright-free rider and a bottomless pit of plagiarism. AI startups like Midjourney, which was introduced in 2022, train their software with data scraped from the internet and elsewhere, often without compensating creators. Practice has resulted in lawsuits from authors, artists, record labels, news organizations. And then you kind of alluded to this. Disney and Universal are the first major Hollywood studios to file copyright infringement lawsuits. Midjourney lawsuit indicates that Disney and Universal, two of the most powerful traditional entertainment companies, have been biding their time while taking aim at Midjourney for infringing on prominent characters like Darth Vader, the Minions, the Frozen princesses, etc. The lawsuit reads like a shot across the bow to AI companies in general. There's a quote that says, we are bullish on the promise of AI technology and optimistic about how it can be used responsibly as a tool to further human creativity. It's from Horatio Gutierrez, Disney's general counsel. And then he continued, but piracy is piracy, and the fact that it's done by an AI company does not make it any less infringing. As you said, they sent a cease and desist. It was ignored by Midjourney. Universal then sent a cease and desist last month. That was also ignored. And they're asking them to pay damages, but don't indicate how much. They also want a judge to stop Midjourney from offering its forthcoming video service without appropriate copyright protection measures, which I assume, Mike, means, listen, if you trained on the stuff, that's a problem. You got to compensate us for it.
Yep.
But you need to stop it from being able to be created when asked for. Which then took me to the VO3 thing we ended last week with, and the fun of like these models and these stormtrooper vlogs and like all this funny stuff. And like, even with the image generation, the ability to like take pictures and turn them into anything you can imagine, the Studio Ghibli thing we talked about, like, I am constantly in this personal struggle, Mike, of it is so fun to do these things and it is hilarious to look at them. And like, it is a lighthearted side of AI.
Yeah.
But it is also the work of creators that is being stolen to make all this possible. And I sometimes just really struggle with my own personal use of it and enjoyment of it, knowing that this is all happening behind the scenes. And I think it's like both things can be true here.
Yep.
I think creators should be compensated. I think the model company should take more responsibility. And I also think it's awesome technology that drives creativity and is entertaining as hell.
And with Disney owning Star Wars, that Stormtrooper vlog guy, whoever made those, he's like
Yeah.
deleting his account and leaving the country right now or something after seeing
And
these lawsuits come through.
I mean, unless Google has a deal with Disney that I don't know about, but
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Midjourney's cooked. Like I don't know how they don't just go under. Like I don't know. Like if Disney wants them gone, they're gone. Is basically I think the premise here. Like I don't know how they can't win the lawsuit. Like
Right.
maybe some legal precedent gets set that said it was okay to steal all this stuff and recreate it, and we change copyright law completely. Like I guess that's a possible outcome, but again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand how anyone could win a case like this.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, they might be hoping for a Hail Mary from the current administration, especially with their work around removing people in
Yep.
charge of the Copyright Office that are putting out stuff related to fair use. So,
Well, that one would not shock me. Like, I mean,
Mm.
that is probably like there's a greater chance of that happening than them winning this case straight
yes.
out.